Imagine watching a tennis match that's already thrilling with incredible shots, fast rallies, and intense competition. Now imagine if every single point could change your predictions about what happens next. That's tennis betting. It transforms a great sport into an even more exciting experience where your brain is constantly engaged, making predictions, and testing your understanding of the game. Let's discover how betting makes every moment of tennis feel absolutely critical. Understanding the basics first. Tennis is one of the most unique sports in the world when it comes to betting because of how the game is structured. Unlike soccer, where goals are rare and unpredictable, or basketball, where points come very quickly, tennis has a beautiful rhythm that creates natural moments of tension and excitement. Each match is broken down into sets, games, and points, and this structure is absolutely perfect for creating betting opportunities. Think about it like this. When you're watching a tennis match, you can look at the score in so many different ways. You can think about who will win the entire match, but you can also think about who will win each individual set, and then even more specifically, who will win each game and then even each point. This creates something incredible. There are literally hundreds of different things you could predict or be curious about during a single tennis match. That's what makes tennis betting so special and why people find it so exciting. In today's video, we will talk about tennis betting games that make the sport really amazing. So, stick with us to watch amazing content, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for tennis-related info. In-play betting. One of the most revolutionary things that happen to tennis betting is something called in-play betting, and this is really what makes every round incredibly exciting. In-play betting means you don't have to make all your predictions before the match starts. Instead, you can keep making new predictions during the match itself after watching how things are actually playing out. Imagine you predicted before the match started that player A would win, but then during the match, you see that player A is having trouble with their serve and is getting frustrated. With in-play betting, you have the chance to reconsider your prediction based on what you're actually seeing happen. This is mind-blowing because it means that as you watch each point being played, you can adjust your thinking and even change your predictions. In-play betting creates this incredible sense of momentum and opportunity. Let's say the score is 1-all and the second set is very close. Every single point in that deciding set becomes absolutely crucial from a betting perspective. If player A wins the next point, the odds might shift slightly in their favor. If player B wins the next point, the odds might shift in their direction. This means that as a viewer, you're not just watching the match to see who wins, you're watching because you have a personal stake in every single point. Your prediction might change at any moment, and that creates this constant state of engagement where you can't look away. The real magic of in-play betting happens in close matches. Imagine the score is 5-4 in the third set, and one player is serving to stay in the match. Every point is literally critical. If the server wins the point, they're at deuce, and the game could go either way. If they lose the point, their opponent gets a break point and might take control of the set and potentially the whole match. With in-play betting active, you're watching this happen in real time, and you can make predictions about how this specific point will go, or how this specific game will go, or whether this player will hold their serve. Set betting. To really appreciate why tennis betting is exciting, you need to understand how sets work. A tennis match is made up of multiple sets, and typically in professional tennis, matches are best of 3 sets or best of 5 sets for men. This means that the first player to win the required number of sets wins the entire match. For example, in a best of 3 match, the first player to win 2 sets wins the match. This structure creates a natural progression where a match is never truly decided until the final set is played, and even then, momentum can shift dramatically. Set betting is incredibly popular because it lets you predict not just who will win the match, but how the match will be won. Will player A win in straight sets, 2-0, or will player B fight back to make it 1-1 and then lose the final set? Will it be a close 2-1 victory or a dominant straight set victory? The reason set betting creates excitement is that sets themselves are long enough that you can see a player's skill, strategy, and mental state play out in real time. Maybe one player dominates the first set, winning 6-1, but then in the second set, the other player has adjusted their strategy and starts playing better. Now, the match is much more competitive because you've seen both sets and you're learning which strategies work better against which opponent. This is what makes set betting so intellectually interesting. You're not just guessing at the beginning, you're actually learning as the match progresses. Set betting also creates these amazing underdog stories. Maybe player B is the favorite to win the match overall, but after the first set, they're down 0-1. Now in set 2, everyone watching is thinking, can player B come back? And the odds have shifted. If player B wins set 2 to make it 1-1, suddenly the entire match dynamic has changed. The final set is now a complete coin flip in many ways, and everyone watching is on the edge of their seat because anything could happen. This is why tennis is sometimes considered unpredictable even when there's a clear favorite, because matches are broken into sets and any player can win any given set if they play well. Game betting. If set betting is interesting, game betting takes things to another level by focusing on even smaller units of the match. A game in tennis is won when a player wins at least 4 points with at least a 2-point lead. Games build up to sets, and this creates another layer of betting opportunity. When you bet on specific games, you're really zooming in on the action and creating more frequent moments of excitement. Instead of waiting to see who wins a full set, which might take 30 minutes, you can make predictions about who will win the current game, which might resolve in just 5 or 10 minutes. This means that if you're watching a tennis match and using in-play game betting, you might be making predictions constantly. The exciting thing about game betting is that it lets you read the match in real time. After player A wins 3 consecutive games, you might start to see a pattern. Maybe player A is playing very aggressively and catching player B off guard. Now, when the next game starts, you can predict that player A will continue this momentum and win the next game too. Or maybe you see that player B has made some adjustments and is starting to counter player A's aggressive style, in which case you might predict that player B will win the next game. This kind of real-time reading of the match is incredibly intellectually engaging because you're using pattern recognition and strategic thinking. You're watching the match actively, trying to understand what's happening and why, and then making predictions based on your understanding. Every game becomes a mini competition where your prediction skills are tested. Game betting also makes close matches absolutely thrilling. Imagine the score is 5-5 in a set and both players are playing incredibly well. The next 2 games will be absolutely critical. Whoever wins these games might go on to win the set. With game betting active, you're intensely focused on each of these games, predicting who will win game 11, then game 12, and so on. If you predict correctly, you feel smart and engaged. If you predict incorrectly, you're immediately curious about why your prediction was wrong and what changed. Point betting, where every shot matters. Now we get to the most granular level of tennis betting, which is point betting. A point is the most basic unit in tennis. It's won by hitting the ball in such a way that your opponent can't return it, or when your opponent makes a mistake. Every game is made up of multiple points, and every point betting opportunity means you're making predictions about individual shots in the match. Point betting is fascinating because it takes the excitement to an almost heartbeat by heartbeat level. A tennis player walks up to serve, and now you're watching them prepare for their serve. You might be predicting whether they'll get their first serve in, or whether the returner will win the point. The server tosses the ball, and seconds later, the point is played out. You watch it unfold in real time, and then you either win your prediction or you don't. This creates an incredible, immediate feedback loop where you make a prediction and almost instantly find out if you were right. This is fundamentally different from many other sports where plays take longer to unfold. In tennis, particularly at the point level, things happen quickly, and the feedback is immediate, and that creates intense moments of excitement and engagement. What makes point betting especially interesting is that it rewards people who really understand tennis strategy. When you watch a tennis match at the point level, you start to understand things like the importance of the serve, the advantage of playing at the net, the effectiveness of different shot types, and the momentum of winning or losing consecutive points. Maybe you notice that player A has an incredibly effective first serve and wins most points when they get their first serve in. Now, when player A is serving, you might predict that they'll win the point if they hit a first serve, but maybe they won't if they have to hit a second serve. This kind of strategic understanding makes point betting rewarding because it's not just random guessing. It's actually using knowledge and observation to make informed predictions. Margin betting, predicting the size of victory. Another thing that makes tennis betting exciting is margin betting, which is about predicting not just who will win, but by how much they'll win. In tennis, this usually translates to predicting the scoreline. For example, you might predict that player A will win 2-0 in sets, winning in straight sets, or that player B will win 2-1, winning after dropping one set. This adds another dimension to betting because now you're not just predicting the winner. you're predicting how dominant that winner will be. A 2-0 victory is quite different from a 2-1 victory that went to 3 sets and perhaps had close matches in both sets. Margin betting is thrilling because it combines accuracy with difficulty in a really interesting way. It's easier to predict who will win a match than to predict the exact scoreline, so margin betting requires more skill and knowledge. Throughout the match, you're watching and thinking, "This is playing out the way I predicted," or "This is not playing out the way I expected." And you're either feeling confident or worried that your margin prediction will come true. Maybe you predicted 2-0 and you're watching the player you predicted win claim the first set 6-3. Now you're thinking, okay, they need to win one more set to make my prediction come true, and every point in the second set becomes crucial for your specific prediction. It's not just about whether your player wins, it's about whether they win in the exact way you predicted. Underdog stories. One reason why tennis betting creates such exciting moments is that tennis allows for underdog stories to unfold in real time. Because matches are structured in sets, and because tennis is fundamentally about one player versus another, it's always possible for the wrong player to win. Maybe player A is the world-ranked #1 player, but player B is ranked 50th. On paper, player A should win easily, but in tennis, anything can happen. Player B might be playing the best tennis of their life that day. Player A might have an injury. The conditions might favor player B's style of play. And here's the exciting part. As the match unfolds, you can watch this underdog story develop in real time. Imagine you're watching a match where the favorite is down 0-1 in sets. In that moment, everyone watching is thinking, the upset is happening. But then in set 2, the favorite plays incredibly well and dominates, winning 6-1, and now the match is tied 1-1. In that moment, things have shifted again. The final set is suddenly the most important part of the entire match, and nobody knows what will happen. This is what makes tennis so exciting for betting. Matches can shift momentum dramatically, and because you're watching in real time with in-play betting available, you can adjust your thinking as things unfold. Maybe you start the match betting on the favorite, but when they go down 0-1, you start considering whether to bet on the underdog in the deciding set. The fact that you can change your mind as the match progresses makes underdog stories even more thrilling because you're not locked into your initial prediction. The underdog narrative is also exciting because of how it affects player psychology. When a lower-ranked player is doing well against a higher-ranked player, you can often see the confidence difference. As a bettor watching in play, you're reading these psychological shifts and making predictions about whether they'll continue or reverse. Will the underdog maintain their confidence and pull off the upset? Or will the favorite's experience and skill eventually take over? These questions keep you on the edge of your seat throughout the match. Momentum swings. One of the most exciting aspects of tennis betting is watching and predicting momentum swings. In tennis, momentum is real. It's not just a psychological thing, it's something that affects how players perform. When a player wins several consecutive points or games, they often play with more confidence, hit bigger shots, and take more risks. Conversely, when a player loses consecutive points, they sometimes become tighter, more defensive, and less likely to take chances. As a tennis bettor, part of the fun is recognizing when momentum is shifting and making predictions based on that shift. Think about how a momentum swing develops. Player A might win 3 consecutive games, building confidence with each game. Now the odds for player A to win the next game might shift in their favor because they're playing well and feeling good. But here's where it gets interesting. Sometimes momentum shifts as dramatically as it builds. Maybe player B decides to change their tactics, or maybe player A gets overconfident and starts taking unnecessary risks. Suddenly, the momentum reverses, and now player B is the one winning consecutive games. If you're watching this match with in-play betting, you get to watch this momentum swing unfold and make predictions about whether it will continue or reverse again. This creates a constant state of engagement where you're trying to predict not just what will happen, but when the momentum will shift. The most exciting matches are often ones where momentum swings multiple times throughout the match. Imagine a match where the first set is dominated by player A, winning 6-1. Everyone watching thinks player A will win easily, but in the second set, player B comes out firing and dominates 6-1. Now it's 1-1, and suddenly everything is uncertain again. If the match goes to a third set, the momentum is completely reset, both players have won a set, the match is in a new situation, and neither player has a psychological advantage. The momentum can then swing back and forth throughout the third set, creating multiple moments of drama and excitement. For bettors watching with in-play betting available, each momentum swing creates new opportunities to make predictions and new reasons to stay engaged because nothing is ever truly decided until the final point is played. The role of player form and conditions. Understanding tennis betting also requires understanding how player form and conditions affect matches, and this is something that bettors observe throughout a match. A player's form refers to how well they've been playing recently. Maybe player A has won their last 3 tournaments and is feeling very confident. Maybe player B has been struggling and just lost in the first round of their last tournament. These pre-match facts are important for making initial predictions, but what's really exciting is how form can change during a match based on conditions. Conditions in tennis refer to things like court type, weather, crowd size, and other environmental factors. Different players thrive in different conditions. Maybe player A loves playing on clay courts because they can slide, but player B prefers hard courts where the ball bounces higher and plays faster. If 2 players are competing on their preferred court, the player with the advantage will usually play better. But here's where it gets interesting for bettors. As a match progresses, you can see how conditions are affecting the player's performance. If player B is starting to play better as the match goes on, maybe they're adapting to the court conditions. If player A is getting tired and making more errors, maybe the hot weather is affecting them more than their opponent. These observations let you make increasingly informed predictions as the match goes on. Temperature, humidity, wind for outdoor courts, and even light conditions can all affect how a match plays out. These nuanced factors make tennis betting intellectually interesting because there's a lot to understand and observe. Head-to-head history and player matchups. Another interesting element that makes tennis betting exciting is understanding the history between 2 players. When 2 players have played each other multiple times before, their head-to-head record tells a story. Maybe player A has beaten player B 10 times in their last 12 meetings. This creates a narrative where everyone watching knows that player A has dominated this matchup historically. But here's what makes it exciting. Tennis is dynamic and things change. Maybe player B has been working on a new strategy specifically designed to counter player A's style. Maybe player A hasn't played player B in 2 years, and both players have evolved. These possibilities create intrigue and uncertainty even when there's a strong historical record between 2 players. The head-to-head dynamic becomes especially exciting during in-play betting because you can watch the narrative unfold in real time. You might start the match believing the historical favorite will win again, but then you see player B execute their new strategy perfectly in the first set, winning 6-2. Suddenly, the historical pattern is being broken before your eyes. Now you're thinking, is this the time player B finally breaks through? Or will player A's experience help them adjust and get back in the match? This creates a special kind of tension because you're watching a potential upset or a potential affirmation of history happening in real time. If you're betting in play, you might adjust your predictions based on whether you think history will repeat or whether this is the moment it breaks. Betting odds and how they change. Understanding tennis betting also means understanding how odds work and how they change throughout a match. And this is where things get really sophisticated and exciting. Odds are essentially the market's prediction of what will happen, expressed as a number. If player A is heavily favored, their odds might be very short, like 1.2, meaning you'd need to bet a lot of money to win a small amount. If player B is considered unlikely to win, their odds might be very long, like 5.0, meaning you'd win a lot of money if they pull off the upset. But here's the crucial part. These odds don't stay the same throughout the match. They change constantly based on what's happening. When you're watching a match with live odds available, you're essentially watching a real-time market of people's predictions. When player A wins several consecutive games and the odds start shifting in their favor, the market is essentially saying, player A looks stronger now. But if you think the odds are overreacting or if you think player B is still capable of coming back, you can make a bet at favorable odds because the market hasn't caught up to your assessment. The mental game. One more element that makes tennis betting incredibly exciting is understanding the mental game and being able to read a player's confidence level and emotional state. Tennis is a psychological sport, and sometimes the player who wins is the one who handles the pressure and emotions better. Throughout a match, you can observe a player's body language, their reactions to winning or losing points, and their overall demeanor. These observations tell you a lot about their mental state, and your mental state often determines your performance. A player who is visibly frustrated after losing a few points might be starting to lose confidence. A player who celebrates after winning important points might be gaining momentum and confidence. What makes this exciting for bettors is that you can watch these psychological shifts unfold and make predictions based on them. That's it. In today's video, we discuss tennis betting games and how they make each game exciting. Tennis betting transforms a sporting event into an interactive experience where viewers engage at multiple levels. The one-on-one format lets you read player strategies, form, and momentum, making predictions increasingly informed as the match develops. All these factors combine to create an experience where every round and every point feels significant. That's what makes tennis betting uniquely exciting. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned with us to watch more interesting stories and tennis-related events.